Welcome everyone to this week's Nym Community Call. I'm your humble host, if I can even speak, Sudo, aka Simon, head of community at Nym. Sorry for missing last week's episode. I was on a bus coming back from Lisbon. I was on the Privacy and Security Symposium with Claudia. Maybe I can drop a few photos of that in the Telegram chat after this call. It was a pretty interesting event, although to be honest, it was quite a bit above my head, as it was a very academic, academics come together and, discussing their papers type of event. So, yeah, but it was still fun. It was great. But now I'm back for another episode. Hopefully that doesn't break my New Year's resolution. You know what, guys, it's up to you to judge, but I'm very happy to be here and I'm very happy to hang out. Today's episode is just going to be a solo, so you have to make do with me. No guest today, but for next week, all I'm going to say is I have pretty exciting and pretty fun guest planned, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully that episode is going to be as exciting as this one, but of course this is still the most prestigious event in the world. So with all of that said, as always, of course, we are going to answer, or I am going to answer your questions. In fact, this call is mostly about answering your questions, so make sure to leave them in the chat. You can leave them in the YouTube or Twitch chat, or if you don't want to compromise your privacy and log in with your YouTube or Twitch account, then you can also leave your questions on the Nym Matrix server in the general topic, please, or the general channel. And we're going to pick them up from there as well. And I'm going to answer to the best of my abilities. Don't ask anything too hard, please. That's not very nice. All right. But before we get into that, I wanted to walk my beloved community through a pretty big release that we had just last week. So last Friday, which is not a good day to release. Definitely not. So don't do that if you're ever in software development. Don't release stuff on Friday. We did that. And the new release, despite the fact that it was released on Friday, is pretty damn dope. So I'm going to just quickly give you a glance into some of the new features that came out. So maybe let's get started with that. I'm talking about, of course, NymVPN. And the first feature that we got, this is mostly relevant to censored countries or people in censored countries, especially in China. So some censored locations don't allow you to access local resources, like many like Chinese websites, for example, don't allow you to access them when your connection is coming from a location that is outside of China. So basically, this is something that makes VPN use very inconvenient / difficult and sometimes impossible for Chinese users. So. And this also happens in other countries as well. So this is why we introduced, for now in beta, geo-exclusion. Geo-exclusion basically excludes certain countries from the VPN tunnel via SOCKS 5, and then routes everything else that are not like IPs that are not located in that geographical location, routes within NymVPN. So it's the best of both worlds. You can access the regional content that would otherwise be blocked due to connecting to it via a VPN. But you can also, keep everything else nice and encrypted and private. So that's one thing. It's for now in beta. So we're looking for feedback, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in a country where you need this feature and you can test it out, then let us know how it works, and we're going to improve it going forward. And of course, something that many node operators, I see Wunderbear and also Rocio in chat, who are node operators, so it's going to be no surprise for you because this feature has been coming for a long time. But maybe for NymVPN users, it may be new. We have server families. So as you know, the Nym network is a decentralized network, which means that Nym does not operate any of its servers. The beloved, beautiful Nym community is running all of the Nym infrastructure, which enables, of course, NymVPN, right? So one of the problems, like it's mostly a theoretical problem, but it's still an important one, is that if you select nodes for yourself, so like you select an entry node or server, as we call it in the VPN lingo, and an exit server that are run by the same people, then theoretically you how to put this in an academic way. Too bad we don't have Claudia here. So basically, you have your entire connection run by the same organization or person. So this is not recommended, of course, for privacy reasons. By introducing server families, node operators can now show people that or like show users through the interface of NymVPN, and also in the server explorer that we have, that these servers are run by the same group or person, right? So the app itself and also our users can select servers from different operators, which means that it's ensured that your entry and your exit are both run by different people. That was a very complicated way of explaining the like beauty and benefit of decentralization. If your entry and exit are run by different people, if someone would want to surveil you, they would have a very difficult job, because they would have to track down the operators of those two separate individuals. So this is great stuff. And of course, what server families also enables is for us to notify users when they try to manually connect to two servers. Select an entry and an exit, which are run by the same operator. The client can now tell people that, hey, these servers are run by the same people, so are you sure you want to do this? And it can recommend a different server. So this is a big quality of life update, and also it's important for privacy reasons as well. It's been a long time coming. Now it dropped. So yeah. And of course, we also have Mixnet parameters. Now, before I do anything, I decided to demo Mixnet parameters live on this call. I will also tell you guys that Anya, who's of course the chief scientist of Nym, she did a video, like we recorded a video with her explaining these features. So if you're looking for a much more technical and academic explanation than what I'm going to give you, then make sure to check that video out. We're going to drop a link to it in chat, but I'll do my best to also show you in my own words. So let's jump right into it. So here is the NymVPN interface. And maybe actually I will also show you the other settings that we just dropped. So we have geo exclusion here. Sorry, if I can speak, I can turn it on. This is where you select the port for the SOCKS5 proxy, and this is where you can add regions. I think for now it only works with China, which is the #1 region where this feature is important. So yeah, basically, if you plug this port in to your browser, then you can exclude all traffic that would, yeah. So like as I explained, you can exclude from the VPN tunnel through SOCKS5 all the IPs that are located in China. So more regions are coming. Yeah. So our Chinese users should rejoice. And then we have Mixnet tuning. So this is what Anya also showed. I'm going to do my best to also explain what happens here. Now, first of all, maybe a bit of a broader explanation. So you probably, if you've been with Nym for some time, you probably already saw this image. This is like a diagram of the entire like Nym stack between you. This would be you, your client, and of course the internet when you're using the Nym Mixnet. So one of the key differentiating features of the Nym Mixnet is, of course, the cover traffic, right? So as you're using NymVPN in anonymous mode, Mixnet mode, as it's called, the client constantly injects fake traffic into your real traffic. So as you're using the internet, you're of course generating traffic and transferring packets and bits and bytes. And amongst that real traffic, fake traffic is sprinkled in. And with this, from an outsider's perspective, when they look at what's happening on your traffic or like on your client and between your client and the internet, it all looks like white noise, because there are no patterns that would reveal what you're doing, because even with encrypted traffic, such as regular VPNs, the patterns are still there from an outsider perspective, and this adding cover traffic hides that. So the other thing that the Mixnet does is timing obfuscation, which actually just means random amounts of delay at every hop of the of your traffic as it goes through the Mixnet. And these are the two things that you can now actually tune. So this is a pretty big update. It's been a long time coming. because this basically allows you together these dials and options allow you to tune the exact place to your preference where you want to be on the anonymity performance scale. You can maximize your anonymity. That will of course cause you performance loss, or you can improve your performance and lose some anonymity. All right, so those are the basics. Let's now look at the options. So everything that you change, make sure to keep an eye on. These are the default settings, by the way. Make sure to keep an eye on the expected performance based on current settings. So this is your packet rate and your latency. And as you change these settings, you will see the expected performance also change here, just so you get an idea of what kind of performance you can expect. So these are once again the default settings. By default, your client will be sending cover traffic continuously, right? And it will be sending it at 1 megabits per second. First of all, what does this mean? Now, this will be a bit oversimplified. There's some math involved, which I'm not gonna explain here. But by and large, what this means is that, and I'm gonna draw for you with my excellent drawing skills. So basically, from the outside looking in, your traffic will be what will look like this, right? This is packets traveling at 2 megabits per second. I'm going to write this by hand. So 2 Mbps. Sorry, 1 by default. So yeah, so everything that you do, right? This is the cover traffic. This is what, from the outsider perspective, your traffic will look like, and everything real that you do here, right? Will be sprinkled in here, right? Maybe here's a little spike, but the outside observer will not be able to tell what's real and what's not real, right? So if I change this dial here, then I change where this line lies. So if I increase this to 2 megabits, then it's going to be pushed up here to 2 megabits, and if I decrease it to 0.7 megabits, then I will push it down here. So wait, sorry, let me bring back the NymVPN options here. Yeah, so I can either drop it to 0.7, or I can increase it to 2 megabits. And like I showed, basically that's the throughput rate is decided by that. Now, this limit here also caps your internet connection speed. So actually, if you increase this, if you increase your continuous traffic rate or cover traffic rate, then all the real things that you're doing can also happen faster, right? So this will make your Mixnet experience faster, but this will all have to be, of course, sent and continuously sent, right, at 2 megabits per second, which will, especially on mobile devices, this will cause you battery, and if you're in a limited connection, you have a mobile data plan, then it also costs you data at a constant rate. So constantly, when your device is on, it will, whether you're doing something or not, it will be sending at around 2 megabits per second of data. So that might not be great. So if you're a mobile, for example, then you may want to reduce this, right? Or the other thing that you can do is to turn this off. So you can turn the continuous cover traffic fully off. Now, what does that mean in practical terms? So all of this continuous cover traffic that we were sending here is now gone, right? So that's good because you're using way less data and you're using way less battery. So in that sense, it's good, right? Let me try to wait. Let me try to remove my beautiful drawings from here. So now, instead of sending continuously, the cover traffic and sprinkling your real traffic into that cover traffic, you're going to be sending at the base setting. Let me show you where that is. So at the base setting, you're going to be sending something like one cover packet per 20 milliseconds or something like that. This is not like very set, like every 20 milliseconds one packet, but on average it's going to be one packet per 20 milliseconds. So it's gonna be, the cover traffic is gonna be like this. It's gonna do this, and your real traffic is gonna be happening like this, right? In between, and that's going to protect your privacy and your patterns, like hide your patterns to some extent, but not nearly as much as continuous cover traffic, right? So it's obviously a trade-off. It may be better on mobile devices and those that have like a limited bandwidth per month. The other thing that happens is that this cap, I was not able to remove it. I don't know why, but I couldn't remove this line. But this cap is also removed. So since you don't lock your data rate to any one value, this is also removed. So you're still going to be, your performance is still going to be limited by taking 5 hops with each packet. 3 of those are mixed hops, right? So there is still a lot that's happening on the network side. But overall, your performance should be should be better, and your throughput should be higher because there's no like cap on it if you turn a continuous cover traffic off. Now, what does this slider do then if we don't send continuous cover traffic anymore? So, like I said, the base is 1 packet per 20 milliseconds. So like 1,000. No, sorry. How many is that? Like 200, maybe 200 packets per second. And basically, you can increase that, right? So you can increase that by 5x, 10x, or 20x. I believe when you max it out to high, then you will be sending 1 packet on average, one packet of cover traffic per millisecond, so 1,000 per second. So you still have you can still decide how much cover traffic you're sending, but it's not going to be continuous, and it's not going to cover up your real patterns as much as keeping this setting on. So yeah, let me look at questions. Hopefully this is clear. Let me know if not. I'm trying my best to explain it in my own words. And then, all right, so we talked about the cover traffic, right? Which you can now change this parameter of. Let's see mixing delays. So what are mixing delays? Let me bring back my beautiful drawing and this visualization here. So this is the Mixnet part, right? Every packet that you send over the Mixnet goes in through the entry gateway, which you're connected to, right? And then takes 3 hops, 3 hops in this 3 layers of mix nodes, randomly selected hops. So each of your packets takes 1 randomly selected route, maybe like this. Maybe the next one will take it like this. And the timing obfuscation here means that at each of these hops, each of these 3 hops that your packet takes, there is a bit of additional delay beyond the network delay that, a packet takes time to cover from one location to the other. But even on top of that, the Mixnet adds extra random latency to each of these hops. This makes it so that if someone, once again from the outside, someone like the NSA or another global passive adversary is looking at this network from the bird's eye view, right? Normally, they could do timing attacks, which means they check how long, they check how long it takes for this to happen. Let's say this is like 100 milliseconds, and they don't know anything, just the fact that a packet left here at this time and it arrived here 100 milliseconds later. If you have enough data about enough points on the network, right, you're going to be able to piece together that these two are communicating with each other. So that's a timing attack, correlation attack, as it's called. Sorry, and the Mixnet adds a random amount of delay to every one of these 3 steps to avoid that happening. So from the outsider's perspective, all of this is just white noise. Everybody who's using the Mixnet is basically scrambled together, mixed together into white noise. Now, that amount of random delay that is added at each hop can be configured going forward. So the default is 15 milliseconds. As you can see now that I have it in the default position, it's 15 milliseconds. So a random amount of delay is added at each hop, which on average is going to be 15 milliseconds. It's not exactly that, because that would be not great, right? Because it would be, once again, it would be a pattern, but on average, it's going to be that much. So you can either make it much lower, right? 200, or like much longer at 200 milliseconds, which is 1/5 of a second, or you can even turn it off at 0 milliseconds, which means that as soon as your packet arrives, to this mix node, it's going to forward it to the next, and then that will send it on to the next. And this will, of course, be the quickest, right? Your latency will be the lowest if you do that. As you can see here, the latency also changes, right? So at least 600 milliseconds when I turn it to 0, and then at least 1800 milliseconds when I turn it all the way up. So what happens here is that your latency, as you use the Mixnet, will be much, much higher if you set it to its maximum. But of course, your anonymity will be the strongest if you do this. And you can also decide to turn it fully off. And in that case, your latency will be the lowest possible on the Mixnet or in Mixnet mode. But your anonymity will be less strong. So yeah. Why is this a big deal? So far, the Mixnet was set up in a certain way, and everybody was only able to use it in that way. I think these tools were like these options were configurable in CLI for some time, but you didn't have a graphic user interface where you could adjust these values. So now, for example, my use case, and it's not going to be a surprise to anyone who's been coming to these calls because I've repeated it so many times. But the big feature that I'm waiting for NymVPN is going to be the three-way split tunneling, right? When I'll be able to route this application through the Mixnet, this other application through regular fast mode, and then maybe this other application via ClearNet, right? That's going to be like the big game changer, I think, for NymVPN, which is coming later this year. And my setting, for example, is going to be absolutely maxed out for everything, right? I'm just going to do this for everything that I'm routing through the Mixnet, because everything that I'm going to be routing through the Mixnet are going to be, my crypto wallets, my emailing and instant messaging applications, and all of that good stuff. I'm not going to route any games or anything that is even remotely latency or bandwidth sensitive, but I will have this like extra ultra secure and safe and private mode for everything that requires it. And yeah, so that's why this is a big deal. Maybe you want better performance, right? Than the Mixnet gives you by default currently. Then you can just turn this off. And you can leave this at 0, and you will still have 5 hops, which is similar to Tor, for example. Tor does not add any random delays. It takes a bunch of hops. You will still have a bit. So on top of what Tor offers, you will also have the random. So when you use Tor, the route that every one of your packets takes is selected. Let me do this in red. Is selected once, right? So this is my route, and for that session, that is going to be your route, right? It's not randomized. So if you use these settings that I'm showing here, you basically get Tor, because there are no random delays on Tor or on this setting either, but you still get with every single packet that travels through, you still get a random route, right? It still picks a random route. So yeah, that's also another use case. You can play around with this. This is still in beta. I think it doesn't say beta, but it is still in beta. So if you find something that could be improved, whether it's the layout of these settings or maybe anything else, basically, please let us know, because we're looking for feedback. All right, phew. That was my explanation of Mixnet parameters. Hopefully it made sense, and hopefully it was not too long or too short. I tried to do an explanation that was a bit more detailed than what we did with Anya. We only had a few minutes for that. We didn't want to make a longer video. Hopefully it adds a bit more context. All right, so let me jump into your questions first. All right, so Panic Dispenser, very nice name, is asking, what are the advantages or disadvantages of the Mixnet versus SPN? What's an SPN? Let me check. I haven't heard this before. I'm not sure what an SPN is. Can you enlighten me, please, Panic Dispenser? Not entirely sure. What did you mean? A VPN maybe? Anyways, let's go to. I'll go to the next question, and as soon as you clarify, I'm going to get back to this one. Okay, so what are Rosie is asking? Hi, Rosie. By the way, good to see you here. What are the risks of reducing packet delays? Well, if you just reduce them, I think the risks are not as great as if you fully turn them off. So like I showed, you can turn the slider all the way down to 0. Then you basically remove one of the key features of the Mixnet, and the whole timing aspect of it will not be in play anymore. So you remove the timing obfuscation. The just lowering the value, I feel it's probably fine, right? To a certain extent, because there's also other people using the Mixnet, and because the latency at each hop is random anyway, right? It doesn't like expose you in a very like severe way. If even if there is like a GPA watching and is trying to observe you, or trying to deduct something about your traffic and your patterns from the outside looking in, you will still have a random amount of delay added. Just not the range is not going to be as big where that random amount is selected from. So I guess if you just reduce it, I think there's not like huge. There's not a huge privacy impact of that. But I would also say that it doesn't really help that much either, because you're going to be taking, in total, you're going to be taking 5 hops with each of your packets anyway, right? That's the Mixnet mode. You have 3 layers of mix nodes, and you have the entry server and the exit server. So if you do that already, whether this value here is 15 milliseconds or 10, it doesn't really mean much. I would so if something is latency sensitive enough to notice that, then you will not want to use the Mixnet for it anyway. So that's my 2 cents on it. So I would either leave the mixing delays on the default 15 milliseconds, or maybe even increase it to like 100 or something, because for the things that you should be using the Mixnet for, it shouldn't make that much of a difference. Thanks for the question, Rocio. Hope that answers it for you. Next one is also from you. So question: if we set the packet holding delay to 0 milliseconds, does NymVPN function just like a traditional VPN, or does routing through 5 decentralized hops still offer better metadata protection? So it does definitely offer better metadata protection still. Again, it will be similar to something like Tor, with the added benefit that each route is randomized, and also that there's the traffic of other people as well, including cover traffic, fake traffic of other people, right? So so basically you are still a privacy loves company, right? The more users NymVPN has and the Mixnet has, the bigger the anonymity set, and you're still mixed into that anonymity set. Now I don't know what the chances of randomly getting 0 milliseconds every single time are. Probably not very high. So maybe that could like throw a flashlight or a floodlight on you. I'm not like technically savvy enough, to know this exactly, but I would say that it's still better than a traditional VPN, but it's still going to have extra latency compared to a traditional VPN as well, because even though you're removing the artificially added extra latency from each of those hops, you're still going through 5 hops in total. So that will still your latency will still be higher. The performance will still not be like a traditional VPN or even NymVPN in fast mode. So you will still have performance trade-offs there. Thanks for the question. Next one is also from Rocio. All right. If I want a metered or limited mobile data plan, how does adjusting the decoy traffic rate affect my daily data usage? So if you turn off continuous cover traffic and keep the background cover traffic rate low, so you keep it at base, which is again one packet every 20 milliseconds or so, then your data use, I really should be like, we should probably run some tests and publish like the actual measurements with this. I don't know the exact numbers, But based on how it works, I can tell you that it's going to be significantly lower, your data use. And with that, of course, your battery use is going to be significantly lower as well. So if you have a phone that you want to keep, for some reason, continuously in Mixnet mode, and you're not okay using fast mode instead on that mobile device, then I guess maybe this could be a good setting. It does have privacy trade-offs, as I explained, right? But it could be like a good trade-off for a mobile device, still having most of the Mixnet protections, but not continuous covered traffic. I don't know. So yeah, it will be, to answer your question more succinctly, it's gonna be lower, your daily data use. Thank you for the question. Next one is from Jason. Good to see you back, friend. When new locations for geo exclusion? I'm not sure. So like I said, the big region where this is important, where a lot of different websites, so like a fair percentage, a third to half of Chinese resources actually do this, actually lock people out who try to connect to them from a non-Chinese IP. So for China, it was very important. That's why, we're first introducing this feature with China in mind. But if maybe you're in a country where this also happens, then let us know, because we're going to prioritize your region next. And of course, we're going to be adding, we're going to be doing research into which regions also have this issue, and we're going to be adding them one by one. So can't give you an exact time other than the usual soon TM, but yeah, you have a say in this. So maybe if you're in a country where this matters, then let us know, because then we're going to look into implementing your country as well in that feature. Thanks for the question, Jason. Panic Dispenser in the meantime responded. So SPN routes each connection through a separate path across different nodes, applying layered encryption at each hop, providing per connection IP separation across all your applications. That's actually fairly, I've never heard of this tech before. So I don't know enough about it to be able to compare the two. This is actually something that we should ask Anya or Claudia. I'm just taking a quick note to ask Anya and Claudia, our chief scientist, and sorry, just 1 second. SPN versus Mixnet. So yeah, Anya and Claudia are the other two founders next to Harry Halpin, who's our CEO, and we're gonna ask. I'm gonna make sure to ask them. If you follow us on Telegram, I'm gonna drop a response to this question from them on Telegram. Yeah, keep an eye there. It's an interesting question. I never heard of this technology. It sounds very interesting, by the way. Super cool. All right, that seems to be the last question I'm seeing here. Let's see the comments as well. Maybe we can find something to respond to. Oh yeah, and don't forget to keep an eye on chat, because you may get 1 month free access to NymVPN. Free passes are constantly dropped in chat. Yeah, so not a lot of other questions. We can wrap up here. Ladies and gentlemen, this was just a quick AMA. Make sure to check back next week, though, because we're going to have an external guest. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to spoil it for now. And it's going to be a pretty exciting conversation. So yeah, make sure to check back next week. Same time, same channel. So it's going to be 2 p.m. UTC here on YouTube, here on Twitch. And of course, the recording will also be available on our YouTube channel as usual, in case you missed it. Rocio is apologizing for too many questions. Never too many questions, Rocio. Thanks for bringing so many good questions here every single time, and also for hanging out with us. Jason is asking, will GTA 6 work with NymVPN? Well, I don't know. Should it? Does anyone really care about GTA 6? That was, of course, I'm asking that facetiously. It's shaping up to be the one of the, as usual, GTAs are always the most requested and hyped games of the decade they come out in. But who knows when it comes out? Maybe it comes out in the 2030s, and by then maybe it will be built in, maybe we will have NymVPN built into GTA 6. Who knows? Living crazy times. But on a bit more alpha, on a bit more serious note, though, if any application you come across, actually, maybe I will explain this real quick. Although once again, we have a lot of node operators tuning in today, so it will be nothing new to you, ladies and gentlemen. But maybe for our regular NymVPN users, this could be new. So if you run into an application that is not working with NymVPN, make sure to let us know, because the Nym network has something called an exit policy. So the exit policy is, I believe, an allow list when it comes to ports through NymVPN, and a block list when it comes to IPs and URLs. We're using the Tor null exit policy, which of course Tor also uses, and we've been making edits as per community and user demand. So basically, we have this exit policy which protects the network and our operators from malicious or terrible use, right? And it only allows it only allows certain ports, and it blocks certain IP ranges which are known to be used for very bad things or scammy things, stuff of that nature, right? And a lot of applications, especially games, we come across this quite a few times, need their own ports forwarded so that they work, right? You need certain ports forwarded so that they can connect and be used. So when it comes to NymVPN, we allow those ports via updating our exit policy. This happens via a community vote. So the Nym operator community decides on all of these changes, right? It's their network as much as it is yours. So we put up a vote on our decentralized governance portal, and once the changes are approved, the exit policy changes, and from that point forward, your application will work. So that's a long way of saying, if some app just fails to connect when using NymVPN, let us know. We're going to look into whether the required ports are open. If they aren't, then we're going to put it up for vote to our operator community, and soon the ports are going to be open for your application. We try to keep the exit policy as forgiving as possible, so you can do as many things on it on NymVPN as possible, while blocking the most egregious bad things that our network could be used for. So that's the general idea. All right, let's see if we have any further questions. Oh yeah, we just dropped a link in chat on the forum to NIP 13. So for those interested, these changes that I mentioned and these votes happen in NIPs, so they're Nym improvement proposals, just like BIPs. On the Bitcoin network, you have Bitcoin improvement proposals. This is when the community recommends a change, to implement a change network-wide, and then the community votes on that change, and if it passes, then that change goes live. So this is how we decide all changes to the exit policy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. Unless you have oh wait, I skipped your question, Rosia. Sorry. I know you don't like soccer, but Argentina or Spain? I have zero clue. I can't even answer that, to be honest. I can't answer that. What do you think? Who's better, Argentina or Spain? I think I know your answer, but let us know. So yeah, maybe I outed myself. Maybe some of you lost all faith and hope in me now that you know that I don't watch soccer. I also explained the reason for that earlier, which is that you can just fake injuries and fake being hurt in football, and there's no punishment for that, which I find unacceptable. As soon as that rule is implemented, though, and you can get serious, maybe like a yellow card or a red card for faking, and people will get that reliably. When they do that, I may actually start watching soccer again. So just let me know. Wake me up when that happens, ladies and gentlemen. Saul is telling me in the backroom chat that a Swiss player got a red card for diving last week. Okay, that's a good sign. Maybe Sudo will be back watching football soon if this becomes a trend. Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Sorry. Wunderbear is right. It is not soccer. It is football. Okay, it's called football. And this is the real football. The other football that some other people call football is not actually football because foot is barely involved. It's not actually a ball. And, the first thing was actually football, which was called football. So sorry about that. Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's rapidly wrap up here. Thank you for joining me today on this bit ranty solo episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was lovely to hang out with you. Let me know if you have any other questions. We can continue this conversation on Telegram. I'm gonna ask around in the team about SPN versus the Mixnet. Very good question. So thanks for that. Thanks for that question. With all of that said, of course, the last thing that we have to do is going to be the POAP. As a little tradition here in the NYM community, when we hang out together, we give all of us a little NFT to commemorate hanging out together. So you know what to do. Is this? Oh yeah, here it is. So you need to go to the usual place, which is nym.com/go/poap. And the secret phrase this week is going to be Poisson, I think it's pronounced, with the same spelling. So capital POISSON. This is the math behind that. The math that I told you I'm not going to explain or not going to go into further. This is the type of math that is applied on your cover traffic to keep your on continuous cover traffic to keep your real traffic hidden within a constant stream of cover traffic that looks exactly the same from the outsider's perspective. So that's that math is being used. If you want to look into that a bit further, then let me drop the Wikipedia link to Poisson here. I think it's this guy. Yes. All right. Now, with all of that said, I'm going to wrap up here. See you all next week and have a great time until then.